You ever been in a conversation that was going perfectly and then bam, that silence hits like a brick wall? Yeah, me too. Picture this. You're at a coffee shop with someone you've been excited to hang out with for weeks. Let's call her Sarah. She's stunning, funny, and whenever she talks, you slip into that magical flow state where time just disappears. You're mentally planning weekend trips to Paris and practicing your Oscar acceptance speech where you thank her for believing in you. But then, it happens. She finishes her thought about her crazy roommate, takes a sip of her latte, and suddenly, silence. Dead silence. The kind that feels like a smoke alarm going off in your brain. Your romantic fantasies of flying carpets and candlelit dinners start crumbling faster than a cookie in milk. You panic sip your coffee. You notice how suspiciously green that plant on the table is. You meet her eyes, smile like you just got caught stealing candy, then desperate laser focus on a tiny spider building its web in the corner, 20 feet away. Two thoughts are now wrestling for control of your brain. How the hell did that spider create so much web in just 2 hours? And why am I the human equivalent of stale bread? After what feels like 17 years but was probably 12 seconds, you gather every ounce of your remaining dignity and ask the question that will surely save this date. So, what do you think about that spider? Sarah slowly turns to look at the corner, then back at you. Eyebrows doing that thing where they are not quite sure if you're joking or having a medical emergency. The spider? Yeah, it's just really going for it, you know? An hour later, you're on your couch, dramatically hugging a pillow and scrolling through Netflix, wondering if there's a documentary about spiders you can watch to at least learn something from this disaster. If this sounds familiar, keep watching, because I'm about to save you from a lifetime of cringe moments that will haunt you at 3 a.m. Here is what could have saved that conversation. You paused when you mentioned your roommate. There's definitely a story there. That's it. Sarah dropped a breadcrumb. She wanted to tell that story. But I panicked and started interviewing arthropods. Try this. You paused when you said that. There is more to that, isn't there? Works every damn time. I used to be a conversation serial killer. Once I prepared interesting topics for a first date. You know what was on the list? The history of bubble wrap. 20 minutes in, I'm explaining how it was invented in 1957 as failed wallpaper. She went to the bathroom and never came back. I assume she climbed out the bathroom window. Rock bottom was explaining spice rack organization to a successful entrepreneur for 30 minutes. I thought I was being relatable. What I was actually doing was convincing the potential mentor that I had the social awareness of a golden retriever. If you don't fix this, you'll keep being the person who kills conversations while watching others effortlessly connect. You'll miss relationships, bomb interviews, and be remembered for all the wrong reasons. Meanwhile, people who know how to connect are building the relationships, getting the opportunities, living the life you want. You are bad at conversation because we live in a world that destroyed our ability to connect. We practice socializing by staring at screens. School rewarded us for knowing stuff, not being curious about people. No wonder we panic when conversations pause. Let's dive into 5 moves that'll transform every conversation you have. Master these 5 moves and you'll never have another spider situation again. You'll become someone others seek out. Someone they trust with real thoughts. Ready? Let's go. Alright, here is the lie that's been screwing you over your entire social life. You think you need to be interesting. We've all bought into this toxic idea that good conversationalists are the people with the best stories, the funniest jokes, and the most impressive experiences. You know, that guy at parties who's been skydiving in New Zealand and has hilarious anecdotes about getting food poisoning in Thailand. So what do? We show up with our little mental arsenal of interesting things to say. Our accomplishments locked and loaded. Our witty observations ready to fire. And then we wonder why people's eyes glaze over. Here is what's actually happening. You are both just taking turns performing instead of being curious about each other. It's like watching 2 people have parallel monologues while pretending it's a conversation. Think about it. When someone asks about your weekend and actually listens, really listens, asks follow-up questions, seems genuinely curious about your boring trip, how does that feel? It feels incredible, right? Like finally someone gets it. I learned this at another networking event. Instead of trying to impress this graphic designer with my experience, I simply asked, "What's the most challenging project you've worked on recently?" Then I listened. Really listened. She told me about designing a logo for a non-profit that helps kids with autism. I asked more questions. What surprised her about her research? How did she know when she'd gotten it right? We talked for a while. I barely said anything about myself. As the evening ended, she said something I'll never forget. "It's so rare to meet someone who actually listens." Later, she'd refer 3 clients to me. Not because I impressed her, but because I made her feel heard. Move 1. The Ignorance Superpower. Here's a technique that sounds completely backwards, but will make you conversational gold. Embrace looking stupid. Stop being afraid to ask the obvious questions. You know that moment when everyone's nodding alone, like they totally get it, but you are sitting there thinking, what the actual hell is happening here? Most people stay quiet because they are terrified of looking dumb. But Harvard research found something that'll blow your mind. People who ask the obvious questions are seen as more competent, not less. Think about it. Everyone else is pretending they understand while you're the one brave enough to say, "Wait, this makes no sense. Here are your exact scripts." I'm probably missing something obvious, but why do we actually do it this way? How can I understand the part I'm not getting? I've never heard of that. What's that like? You've just made them the expert and yourself the eager student. People love sharing what they know when you ask genuinely. When you stop trying to prove yourself and start focusing on other people, something incredible happens. You become the person others seek out. Not because you're the smartest person in the room, but because you make them feel smart. And the beautiful irony? When you stop trying to be interesting, you actually become fascinating. Because genuine curiosity is magnetic in a world full of people performing. Now that you know how to embrace curiosity, let's build your complete conversation system. These next 3 moves work together. First, you'll learn to get people talking. Then keep them engaged. Then create real connection. Ready? Let's dive in. Move 2. Flip the assumption game. Most people ask questions that assume everything's fine. How's work? Assumes it's going well. How is the new apartment? Assumes no problems. But research shows that when people share real stuff, not just surface-level pleasantries, they feel more connected to you. So flip the assumption. Assume there is something happening. Instead of, "How's the new job?" ask, "What's been challenging about the new job?" Instead of, "How's married life?" ask, "What's been the biggest adjustment in married life?" I started asking Uber drivers, "What's the weirdest ride you've had this week?" instead of, "How's your day?" One driver told me about a passenger dressed as a medieval knight who insisted on being called Sir Reginald the entire ride. Another had someone bring their emotional support peacock that kept squawking relationship advice from the backseat. These aren't negative questions, they are real questions. And real is where genuine connection lives. When you assume there is more beneath the surface, people feel permission to share what's actually happening in their lives instead of giving you the polite, boring version. That gets people talking. But once they open up, you need to know how to keep them engaged with what actually matters to them. Move 3. The breadcrumb technique. People drop hints about what they're dying to talk about. Most people miss them completely. The breadcrumb. It's been one of those weeks. What everyone hears. Generic complaint. What you should hear. Please ask me about this. The breadcrumb. Work has been interesting lately. What everyone hears. Small talk. What you should hear. There's a story here. Your breadcrumb following responses. One of those weeks? How? You paused when you said interesting. What's that about? I can tell there is more to that story. People are dropping breadcrumbs everywhere. Start following them and watch how quickly your conversations move from small talk to real talk. Now you're having real conversations instead of small talk. But to create genuine connection, people need to feel safe sharing what's really going on. Move 4. The permission framework. Everyone has incredible stories locked inside them, but they want permission to share them. Most questions feel like small talk. Permission-giving questions feel like invitations to be real. Standard question. How are things? Permission-giving question. What's been taking up space in your head lately? Standard. How was your weekend? Permission-giving. Did you have a chance to do everything you planned for this weekend? You are not extracting information. You are creating safe space for them to be honest about what's really going on. That's the power of permission-giving questions. You are essentially saying, "It's safe to be real with me. I'm not going to judge you or try to fix you. I just want to understand you." Here is the crucial part. Read their energy, match their depth. If they give short answers, stay surface level. If they elaborate and open up, you can go deeper. Early conversation. Ask about experiences and observations. Mid conversation. Ask about feelings and reactions. Deep conversation. Ask about meaning and personal growth. Mess this up and you're either boring or creepy. Get it right and you become magnetic. These 3 moves will handle 90% of your conversation challenges. But there is one more technique that's so powerful it can turn any interaction into a moment of genuine connection. Ready for the final piece? Move 5. The one-word echo. Sometimes the most powerful question isn't a question at all. It's reflecting back what they said with gentle curiosity. They say, "I guess that's just how it is." You say, "Just how it is?" with slight upward inflection. They say, "I'm fine with it." You say, "Fine?" Pause. Wait. They say, "It doesn't really matter." You say, "Doesn't matter?" Then silence. You're giving them space to elaborate if they want to without challenging them. These moves says, "I heard you, and if there is more you want to share, I'm completely here for it." The power is in the pause after your miro. Let the silence do the work. Most people will fill that space with what they are really thinking. Try this tonight with someone close to you. When they say something that feels like there is more underneath, just echo their keyword back to them. Watch what happens. 6 months after I started using these moves, I was at my aunt's wedding. Instead of hiding in a corner like usual, I asked my cousin's college roommate, "You've known Kathy since college. What's something about her that would surprise people?" His face lit up. For 20 minutes he told me stories I'd never heard. But here is the crazy part. By the end, 3 other people had joined us. Not because I was entertaining them, but because genuine curiosity is magnetic. My aunt pulled me aside. "I don't know what's different about you, but talking to you tonight felt like therapy. Good therapy." That's what happens when you master it. You become the person people actively seek out. The 3 things that will never be the same. First, your relationships get deeper. People start sharing real stuff instead of surface updates. Your friendships move beyond weekend plans to actual connection. Second, your professional life transforms. Remember that graphic designer? Those 3 client referrals led to my biggest year ever. When you make people feel heard, opportunities follow. Third, you stop dreading social situations. That anxiety about thinking of something exciting to say? Gone. Because now you know the secret. You don't need entertainment, just curiosity. Look, if you close this video and go back to your old conversation habits, here is what's going to happen. You'll keep being the person who talks about bubble wrap on dates and gets ghosted. You'll be stuck watching your colleagues bond over lunch while you eat alone because you can't get past "how's your day?" You'll miss out on the promotion because your boss connects with the guy who actually asks about her weekend hiking trip instead of just nodding politely. You'll be single longer because dates remember you as "that guy who made it weird" instead of "the one who really got me." Pick one of these moves. Use it in your very next conversation, not tomorrow, not next week, but the next time you talk to someone. Use the breadcrumb technique. Try the Ignorance Superpower. Ask someone what's been taking up space in their head lately. Watch their face change when you actually listen instead of waiting for your turn to talk. Stop trying to be the most interesting person in the room. Start being the most interested. Now go prove it.